Hey there everyone, welcome to the YouTube video here on the channel. My name's Emily. Mental health, yeah. So I talk about this a lot. And I'm gonna get my knees up in the W position. It's nice now. I'm not, it's weird. W position, it's comforting, but no, not today, Satan. So, hello. How are you? I'm well, kind of. So mental health, yeah. Mental health is something I'm really quite big on and something I'm developing in relation to speak about it, because for me it's always been very difficult to talk about the embarrassing side of mental health, frankly, and that's the stuff that was drilled into you, but was at least drilled into me, that you're an adult, you need to be able to manage this. And that's things like personal hygiene, like tidying up at home, that kind of stuff. And, for me, especially over the winter period with mental health, obviously this year has been particularly difficult for me, because I lost my dad, which sucked. I'm actually in his back garden right now. It's nice in a way because, I've got the, it's nice to be in the back garden in a way. I should add that context, because this is where vlogs for me started, in this exact spot a couple of years ago, on a different channel that I owned back then that's now been lost to history. The neighbour's dog has just covered up here. Hopefully it'll cease and it'll get bored and cease and desist. So, yeah, that's really annoying, isn't it? We'll try and get through this. So really, that's something I want to talk about a little bit in this video. If that dog shuts up. So, mental health. Yeah. I'm diagnosed with anxiety and low mood. I'm also got a medical diagnosis of being transsexual, which sounds incredibly Rocky Horror, but it's actually the medical diagnosis for being transgender. So it's like because obviously I presume being gay doesn't get you a medical diagnosis, because it's not something that you generally look for medical treatment for. Sorry. But yeah. But apart from that, I definitely suffer with depression, and depression, fuck me. I'm, knock on wood. Sorry, I wanted to knock on wood and not think. I've come close to wanting to do damage to myself, but never actually done anything. As an example, so I recently worked for a train operating company called Lumo. If you've seen one of my YouTube shorts, I was wearing the uniform in that. That really wasn't good. The Lumo's business model is being cheap and reimagining rail. Now, I was joking to one of my former colleagues recently that when they printed the reimagining rail posters, there was a typo. I actually need to shuffle forward a bit, don't I? There was a typo. And that typo was that it's not reimagining rail, it's reimagining rail to increase the profit margins as much as possible. And I generally believe that's true. Unfortunately, with Lumo, I know I'm pretty biased because I did the job, but I generally feel like you do at least 3 people's jobs on that train. To give you an example, LNER, who run on the same route with roughly the same kind of trains, with roughly the same seating amounts, have a minimum, and this is a bare minimum, of 3 people on board. That doesn't usually include a travelling cleaner that most of their services now have. Lumo, you were lucky if you had 3. 3 was the spare gods who smiled upon us today. Since I've left, I'm told you never get more than 2. I think my leaving has something to do with that lull. Honestly, it was pretty, and bear in mind, I lost my dad in September. It was at the end of the second week of training for them, and here's a mistake I made, and I fully acknowledge it. I didn't take the time off that I needed off. I was like, I'm going back to work tomorrow. Because I was by myself at the time, because, bit of context, I'm half Czech, takže umím plynule česky, relativně. I speak fluent Czech, relatively. But, yeah. At the end of the day, I didn't really process any of it, and to be honest, I feel like today I probably have, actually, because we scrapped my dad's ashes earlier, which was a strange one. But I'm going to talk about that in a video, because I generally feel like that's a video that's actually going to help people, not just be therapy for me. But anyway, so I was there, and I literally had a breakdown. I was going in the shower once every 2 to 3 days, and that's just because I didn't have the energy to do more. I got home from work, and I just sat there, and I didn't even play games. I wanted to play games, and I'd probably load into a level, and then go, nah, I don't want to do this, and just quit. And that fucking sucked. Sorry, there will be adult language in this video. You've been warned. I warned you after I swore, but And then basically Lumo took me to a probation review because I was underperforming. Hello, Ducker. Which was kind of, fair enough, I guess. Because it's not that I was doing badly. I just had the real misfortune of being paired with some arseholes. I don't really feel like I want to go through that all again, but some of the guys I worked with at Lumo, absolute top people, people who, if I saw them now, I saw them in the pub, I'd buy them a pint, kind of thing. Other people, if I saw them now, and were standing on a platform, I'd have to be restrained from giving them a shove. But anyway, I say Lumo got rid of me. I'm not going to debate the rights and wrongs of it. The dog is. If you want to debate the rights and wrongs, go see the doggo. But yeah, so so after leaving Lumo, it didn't feel real at first, if I'm honest, because I just received my pay packet from them, and I'd had a weird couple of weeks over Christmas where I hadn't really done much work. I'd had a spare shift, 2 rest days, 1 train with the lodge, come home, and then they forced me to take some time off as well. They were wanting to get me to an OC Health meeting, but they couldn't arrange one, and I said, look, I feel better than I have for a long time, I'm happy to go back. I'll add some context, actually. I had a breakdown before whilst at Lumo. I'm never used to be much of a crier. I used to sort of compulsively almost stop myself. So I'd be in tears, and I'd go, it's fine, cry later, and then I'd be good to go. In this one, I cried for 27 minutes, I believe it was, I counted. Well, it was near enough half an hour for it not to matter. Call it half an hour, fuck it. I cried for half an hour, uncontrollably, and I couldn't stop. Anyway, I feel like I'm rambling a little bit here, but anyway, so I think Lumo got rid of me. And as I reflect on it now, I was bad. I mean bad. At one point, I convinced myself in my head at the time that the best thing I could do was take myself to an area that I know the trains run through at about 110 miles an hour, and throw myself in front of a Lumo train, because I still had the contacts then to figure out who was driving it, and throw myself in front of a Lumo train as revenge. It'd be a quick exit for me, and would force them to review their policies. Since then, I am getting better. My room's still a mess, but I've managed to, thank you, I've managed to sort out my, things like I no longer share a bed with a pile of washing, which is quite handy. Quite nice, I guess. But I mean, I've still got a long way to go. I would say I've put them as depressive episodes. So right now, I feel reasonably fine. Right, like fine as in, relative terms. But I might see something, find something out, like make the mistake of reading the news, and hear about the horrible stuff going on in Ukraine, for example, and that'll just send me into a spiral. And I'm still in a position that I'm learning how to stop myself going too far in that spiral. I'm hopefully getting better though. That's the main thing for me, and I hope you guys can hopefully take something from this. For me, I never used to be able to talk about the fact that I'm shit at housework. I mean, I'm a messy person at the best of times, but when I get really depressed, like even right now, you pretty much, it's got cold. Okay, I'm gonna have to go inside because it's getting pretty chilly now. It's the middle of April, but yeah, I get awful. Like I say, I was shaving twice, so once every 2 days. I look awful at the end of that second day because you can see at the moment I shaved. Jesus, okay, that battery's dropping fast. It's gone from 20% to 10% in a minute. But you can, I looked awful, and I felt awful, and I was awful. But now I'm getting better. If you've been affected by anything you see here, or you want help, and you're in the UK, Samaritans are available 24/7, 365. And the telephone number to call is 116 123. It's a telephone number I recommend everyone just writes down because it might not be you, it might be a friend, it could be anyone. Alright guys, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.